Good morning. I'm Pete Najarian. This is The Take. And wow, I mean, the way the markets got slammed yesterday was absolutely incredible. The turn that we're seeing today, also incredible. And yet we use those words almost every day to describe what's going on in the market. And it's true. It's exactly what we're seeing. As a matter of fact, just before I came on here, we were looking at today's markets and just the craziness of what's happened in the last 30 minutes, 15 minutes, even the last 3 minutes or so. We'll get into that in just a second. Let's look back to yesterday just real quick. The Dow down almost 2.5%, 800 points. That's pretty amazing. The NASDAQ down about 4%, down 500 points. That is absolutely incredible. Then you look at the S&P down 2.8%. Now, we talk about this all the time. Volatility actually is low given the kind of movement that we've got. Now, that being said, volatility sometimes takes a little time to kind of catch up. Here we are with volatility trading 33.50, basically saying we're going to move over 2% every single day. Well, that's kind of where we're finding ourselves in the markets right now. We had an interesting range yesterday in the volatility index, 27 to the upper 33s. We closed on that upper end because we closed literally near the lows of the session. So an incredible day, absolutely. 37 million, a little more bit north of 37 million contracts trading yesterday. You had the 10-year, it's right around 272. Not really a lot of movement there. We did see some movement out of Bitcoin, which was done about 5% or so, down towards that 38,000 level. Also, crude oil, that was up. It was up about 3%, trading about 102. Had a pretty decent day. Did get energy into a position where it was the one sector that was in the green. After that, though, you look around and it's nothing but a sea of red. As a matter of fact, the consumer discretionary led by Tesla, followed up by Amazon, throw in a little bit of Google. You get the idea. Down 5% yesterday for consumer discretion. Then you look at technology, the big boys all taking it on the chin a little bit. And when you add all of that up, when you look at Apple and Tesla and Facebook and Google and Netflix and Microsoft, you're going to see a day like we did yesterday where you do have technology down close to 4%. Throw in the communications down 3%. Throw in the financials down 2.5%. I mean, you get the idea, right? JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Citi, all getting hit. Then you've got the industrials down a little over 2%. Caterpillar, Deere, Boeing, 3M. I mean, I think you get the idea. So there was a good, a bad, and the ugly. So the good was Sherwin-Williams. Well, all right, everybody's buying a little bit more paint, and that's going all right. Whirlpool, everybody's grabbing some Whirlpool. That's all right. We had a little bit in that beta energy world because we were talking about the price of crude. That did pretty well. Now, on the bad side, you've got Tesla, you've got Lucid, you've got GE. GE absolutely getting hammered yesterday. Throw in some of the cruise ships, throw in Nike, throw in Boeing. Then you've got Visa going into the earnings itself, Microsoft into the earnings down as well, getting pulled down with the rest of the markets. In the semiconductor space, throw in something like an AMD. You get the idea. It was a very, very broad push to the downside that was looking on the bad. There was a couple in the ugly. I'd throw Bitcoin in the ugly. I'd even throw a little JetBlue in the ugly. Now, we had those call buyers. The stock did jump up, but then right when we got the earnings, the stock fell right back down to where it had came from before. No follow through at all. Now, that was opposite of what we'd seen in some of the other airlines when they reported, but everybody's a little bit different. We started off today looking all right, man. We were looking at the Dow up a couple of hundred points, opened up with the Dow nearly 200 points to the upside. Then we were near 300 points to the upside. Oh, wow. Just a few minutes ago, right before we came on, I looked, we were down 100 points on the Dow. Shows you how fast the velocity of movement is in this market. One of the big contributors to that on the positive side early was Tesla, which moved off of those highs. And then take a look at that shift that we'd had in the last 10 minutes or so, live time, 10 minutes or so, that push to the downside. Absolutely incredible. Tesla, a big contributor to why we are seeing that market shift, obviously not in the Dow, but just how that market shifted, just absolutely turned on a dime, fell to the downside. Last I looked, we were about a 32 on the volatility index. Wouldn't be surprised if we're jumping up a little further than that. Crude was around 100, 10-year was around 275. You get the idea. Things are in motion as we speak. Now, some of the news stories, earnings related specifically, I'm talking about GM, I'm talking Google, and I'm talking Microsoft. Microsoft absolutely did exactly what they need to do, what they've been doing, and what they continue to do, which is delivering on cloud. All three business segments very, very powerful. They crushed it. They gave the guide that everybody wanted. That's why that stock had such a nice start to the day. We'll see where the finish line is by the end of the day. Google, on the other hand, you cannot miss in this environment. Doesn't matter what your PE is. You can't miss in the environment we are in. They missed. That's why they're getting slammed. You take a look at a little bit of that miss on YouTube. Also getting slammed off of that. They got slammed yesterday. GM actually coming out and fighting pretty hard. There's no doubt about that, but they hammered it on the earnings. They stumbled a little bit on the revenue. And I think the fact that their commentary was that they were navigating pretty well with commodity issues. Also, the fact that they kept their guidance about the same was why, at least early on, you were seeing this stock up a little bit and staying a little bit more into the green than what we've seen of late, because this is a stock that, as we know, is right around those 52-week lows. Technology was up about 1.5%, still was about the same a little while ago. Materials were up about 1%. That remained about the same. Consumer discretionary, that's where you're looking at it. That was starting to get hit. And as that turned from green, that went into red in a hurry. Communications as well was already getting hit, names like Google, and then that it was getting hit a little bit further down. So what were some of the movers as of about 15 minutes ago or 5 minutes ago? About 15 minutes ago, it was Visa. That was leading to the upside. Microsoft throwing a little bit of Salesforce as well. You've got Chipotle doing pretty well as also with CMG. Those numbers are pretty powerful. Again, they've just done it quarter after quarter after quarter. You got to love Brian Niccol. He's done an absolutely tremendous job after coming over from Taco Bell and what he's done with that company that was definitely in a struggling process. Chinese names, at least starting off the day, pretty nice with PDD and JD and NetEase. Throw in a Datadog as well. Negative right out of the gate, throw Google in there. Boeing, those numbers did not impress. Cash flows negative. There was a lot of different things in that earnings report that were negative and certainly reflected by that stock. Capital One getting hit pretty daggone hard. It's a name that I know and I like and I own. Not feeling very good about that. But when I look at the numbers, it shocks me to the degree that it's been getting hit. But like many in the marketplace, sometimes it's when in doubt, palms are out. In other words, that was an old floor expression. People sell when they don't know what to do. That's what they do. They get out of their positions. Netflix, Facebook, under a little bit of pressure as well. I got two unusuals, and I will be on the halftime report today. We got Kramer jumping in there. We got Scott, of course, there, and then the whole crew. It should be a lot of fun. We'll see. NCR is my first one. Now, this one, it was trading around $30, a little bit north of $30, and we had two separate blocks. Now, the first one was the one I was focused on most because it's a little bit closer. July 35 calls going for about $1.50. They bought 10,300 of those calls. On top of that, whoever they are, and this looks like the same trader, bought about 10,000, north of 10,000 of the October 35 calls in here as well. So a lot of aggressive buying in here. Stock is off of its 52-week low, but it could be approaching that now, which was closer to 28. But when these purchases came along, and they are going out in a little bit of time, so they don't get hit the same way because there's the time value as well. But stock was a little bit north of 30, trading it closer to 30.50. Next, Gap stores. This one stuck out for me because we've seen this in the past. It's very inexpensive, and this is a very, very short term. Can Gap make a little bit of a recovery? We know it's been hammered. Can it make a little bit of a recovery? Trading right around 1280, call it. A buyer of a little over 11,000 of the April. So this only has a couple days to perform for us. They've got today, tomorrow, and Friday. The April 13.5 calls. So just about 60, 70 cents away from where the stock was trading. Those were about 8 cents up to about 18 cents. So as I say, as in terms of premium, fairly inexpensive call here. We're looking for a nice move, some sort of a reason why Gap stores would get a little bit of that Gap move to the upside. If you don't know what I'm talking about, guys, get educated. Gals, this is the place to be, the derivatives markets. We have some great volumes, but I got to tell you something. You do not want to approach this without having the information, whether you get it here on the internet, whether you get it in books, where you get it from our guys here at Market Rebellion. You've got to understand the derivatives markets. There's a lot to it, the Greeks and how it's all priced. Those are things that you're going to want to know. But I can tell you this, it is a great piece of the puzzle of trying to conquer in these markets. Folks, have a great day of trading.